Welcome. This is really exciting to be able to share the very first lesson of how to use MAP for business. Just to very quickly recap the process that we're going to follow. Remember, step 1 is to establish your position. Step 2 is to determine your destination. Step 3, prepare a plan. Step 4, take massive action. And the 5th step of preparing a master action plan for your business is to record the results. This lesson is about the first step, which is to establish your position. And I'm going to share a few things with you. And one of the most important subjects that I'm going to be talking about in this whole concept of establishing your position is the whole question of balance. I will then explain what process we follow and how the MAP for Life uses the position establishment to take your business somewhere. Fourthly, we're going to look at a practical application, and maybe I'll just summarize at the end just to recap what we've discussed. A lot of the stuff which I talk about, you're going to be able to see on your screen, so don't think that you're going to miss anything. I'm sure you'll be able to see exactly how to use this tool. Bill Cosby said something great. He said this, he said, "I do not know the secret to success," and maybe we could say in business, but the secret to failure is trying to please everyone. And so often we go through trying to be successful, and one of the things we're trying to do all the time is to please everybody. Well, maybe we need to change that approach. The first thing that we want to talk about is this question of balance. The most important thing in your business, I believe, is the 5 P's, and I'll talk to them in detail in a moment, but just briefly, they stand for people, product, plan, profit, and purpose. Those 5 P's are critical in every business, and I'll share why in a moment. What I've done is I've taken a look at business in general and defined 8 different areas. I call them 8 key focus areas. They're generic, so when it comes to your business, I don't know exactly what your business is all about. You do. So if you take these generic areas, you can tweak them, and there's provision made in the tool that you have to be able to define the areas in your business, the key focus areas of your business. I'd encourage you to stick with 8 because the tool is developed to accommodate 8 different areas. What you need to understand is that these 8 areas are interdependent. Previously, I spoke to you about in an earlier introduction to MAP for Business, I talked about the artist who was a painter. And he's excellent at painting, but there were many other areas or other aspects that he wasn't an expert in, but were necessary for him to be able to run a successful business regarding art. So we need to understand that different areas of business are interdependent. For example, I can be doing incredibly well with sales, but if no one's collecting the money, there's going to be a problem. So those two are linked together. It's kind of like in life. If I am ill, I cannot perform within the work environment. Yes, it's dealing with my health or my physical aspect, but it is affecting my business or my career. In the same way, within your business, there's different areas that affect one another. When we talk about balance, it's different for different businesses. It's not the same for every business. So when I look at 8 different areas, if I simply say there's 24 hours in a day and there's 8 different areas, balance doesn't mean that I'm going to spend 3 hours on each area of my business. No, not at all. It's not relating to that form of balance. What we are saying is that each area of our business requires some form of attention. Some will be less, some will be more, but if we neglect any area, it's going to affect the other. In each of these areas, there's different roles, and that's why we have a team of people working in our company, because there's different things that need to be done with each area of our business. What I'd like to look at now is those 5 P's that I talked about. Remember, the first one stood for people. We need to appreciate that people are our greatest resource. So if people are our greatest resource, let's be absolutely careful as to which people we put on board, which people we get on the bus. If we select wisely and we then invest in those people and train them, and we link their purpose or their passion with our business, then we're going to have a winning formula. The next P stands for product, and when I say product, it could mean service. It will depend on what kind of business you're operating. So product or service. But what are you selling? You see, it's people that you have in your business that are going to be selling a product. That product which they are marketing, that product which you are presenting to the world, requires a plan. And when I say plan, I'm talking about strategy, I'm talking about systems, I'm talking about all the kinds of things that make your business work. Procedures, policies, all of these types of things are necessary in order to make your business work. It's like a kind of cogs working together. So people move product using a plan or a system. The fourth P is that the reason we're doing all of this is not to make a loss, but to make a profit. So the big question for you is, are you making money? Is your business working? Are you making more money than you can spend? These are the kind of questions that we should be asking ourselves on a regular basis. What's working? What's not working? Profit is an important part of business. Some people say, well, I don't want to pay tax. Well, if you're not paying tax, it means you're not making a profit. So perhaps your perspective needs to change and you need to say, I would like to pay as much tax as possible. The more tax, the better, because that just says that I'm making business work for me. Of course, there are incentives that are given to us in order to run an effective business and to grow it, and that's what we can use. The fifth one is purpose. Why does my business exist? So if I look at these 5 P's, the first one, standing for people, says people move product using a plan to make profit so that they can pursue a purpose. And if we use those 5 P's in our business and always remember to reflect back on those 5 P's, we're going to start building a solid, sound foundation for a successful business. What are the 8 areas, the 8 generic areas that I've talked about? Well, the first one is product or service. Every business must have a product or service that they are delivering. The other thing that every business has is a customer or client. It doesn't matter whether you have a virtual business, whether you have a plumbing business, whether you have a professional business. All of these have customers or clients. Maybe a medical person might call their customer or client a patient. And maybe you might have a different name, but generically speaking, there's customers and clients in every business. There's another part of a business, and that is that you will have a supplier. I would like to look at suppliers as partners, people who are part of my business, not some enemy sitting on the other side of the fence. So many people are constantly changing suppliers, finding this supplier, that supplier, trying to find the right person instead of developing a long-term relationship, just as they do with their customer. Because together, your customer, your supplier, and you make the business complete. The fourth thing that we need to understand is that there's a team of people. That team is made up of leaders, managers, and people who implement. But nonetheless, every business has a team. If you're a one-man business, well, that's the beginning. Most businesses start that way. But at some stage, if you want to grow your business and develop it, you're going to have a team. And you need to start asking yourself, how am I going to grow this team that I have? The fifth of the 8 areas is there are tools and equipment. How are we doing in that area? Do we have the right tools? Do we have the best tools? Do we have sufficient equipment to be able to do what our business demands? The next area that we need to focus on is the profitability side. Well, results. Are we seeing the kind of results that we want? And we need to check ourselves. How are we doing in these different areas? We also need to look at the administration, the systems, the paperwork, something that most people don't really enjoy. They love to paint the picture, but going and writing out invoices and writing letters to customers and doing all these things is not really their passion, but it's a very important part of a business. So when we look at these different areas, some of them we will enjoy, some of them we'll be passionate about, others not. But unless we address every single one of them, we are setting our business up for possible hiccups along the way. If I ignore the paperwork, at some point, something is going to cause my business to halt. And I don't want that to happen. So the purpose of looking at balance is really to say, am I addressing all of these areas adequately? There's different things that we can consider. And if I look at the process of establishing your position, I'd like to just maybe give you a quote. And this is something that you could think about for a moment. It says, there are many ways to measure success, not the least of which is the way your staff or your customer describes your business when talking to a friend? You see, those are the people that are either contributing to the growth of your business or the destruction of your business. What are they saying? Are they excited about where you are? Do they see that you're going somewhere? Or are they unhappy? Now with Map for Life or Map for Business, there's 3 ways that we go through the process of establishing our position. The first is kind of the analytical type assessment, the kind of thing that you're used to. You know, you get all those forms that you've got to fill in. And we usually run away from those forms. We don't want to go and fill in the stuff. It's like going to get a car license or perhaps going to open an account somewhere. We just hate the paperwork. But there is use in following an analytical assessment. But I'm not going to frighten you with that. There's only 7 questions that I'm going to give you or present you with each of these 8 areas which we've talked about. It makes it very easy. Those 7 questions are going to enable you to establish where you are right now, to look at ways that you can improve. You know, where do I go from here? Am I happy with this particular situation? If I asked you the question, are you happy with the service that you're giving to your customers? Is it going to be yes, you are, or no, you're not? Or if you were to give yourself a rating on a scale of 1 to 5, where would you fall when it comes to customer service? The analytical assessment helps you to answer specific questions in a very simple, perhaps subjective way, but it gives you a reflection of where a particular area sits. It's kind of a quick health guide to your business. So in your Map for Business, you will find a set of questionnaires dealing with each of the 8 areas of your business. The next way that we can, or the next method that we can use to assess our position is the intuitive method. Now, intuitive is just kind of a gut feel. If I had to use a term, it would simply be that. Where do you think your business is right now in terms of those different areas? What's important is that when you go and assess this way is that you are honest. So if we look at your products and service and you need to ask yourself, where am I in relation to where I want to be? So if I had to gauge your score out of a 0 to 10 and say 10 out of 10 means that everything's perfect, you're totally happy with where you are right now in terms of your product or service or maybe your customers or clients, where would you be on that scale from 0 to 10? 0 meaning that you didn't know that you needed to even bother about that area of your business. Another thing is when you follow this process, this intuitive process, there's no point in comparing yourself with another business because everybody measures themselves in different ways. So if you're sitting next to somebody right now and maybe you're doing a group session or sitting through a work group and you're from different business backgrounds, there's no point in comparing your wheel with the person next to you because they're measuring themselves against different things. Their 10 out of 10 means something quite different. In fact, they might even be in a different business to what you're in. So don't look at how their wheel is reflected. It's not going to impact upon your business. So we use in Map for Business something which I call the wheel of balance, and I'm going to show you how to use that in a moment. The third assessment that we do is something extremely simple. 5 questions that you can ask to assess absolutely anything. In fact, right now, if you just followed these 5 steps, wrote down one answer to each, you would be able to assess the way your house operates. You'd be able to assess your branch or your division in the company. You'd be able to assess your motor car. You'd be able to assess your shopping list. Anything you could assess using these 5 questions. And the first one is simply, what should I stop doing? If I had to talk to you about something that you're very familiar with, let's talk about your own personal health. And I asked the question, what is it right now that you should stop doing to improve your health? Could you give an answer? Of course you do. There's something right now that you know that you are doing that you shouldn't be doing, and if you stop doing it, it would improve your health. The second question is, what should I start doing? Well, in the same way, there's things that we know we should be doing, but we're not doing right now. And it's maybe been bugging you for a while in your business. There's things that you know they're sitting there on a pile somewhere, or somebody came up with an idea. Maybe you went on a seminar at some point, somebody gave you a great idea.